Hello, hello, soulful seekers. Welcome back to Trauma and Transcendence. And if you caught last episode, you know that something horribly wrong happened and we kind of flubbed it. What I have learned is that when I'm having a guest on a podcast, they need to have a minimum of 5 gigabytes space on their computer. Isn't that like kind of substantial? 5 gigs? I mean, I remember back in the day it was a big deal, but in any case, if they don't, their side of the recording does not get uploaded. And so there was a segment that I had to cut out of our at least 30 minutes, I think it was, of conversation that did not make it into the podcast. And so gracefully, Jim has decided to show up for you today so that we can talk about his book, Your Life Sucks, which is launching this week, September 1st. I believe I saw an event. Super exciting. But thank you so much for coming back, Jim. Give my audience a quick hit of who you are again in case they missed the episode or didn't get the full story.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to be rushing over here to maybe delete some stuff. I didn't know about the 5 gigabyte thing. I'm constantly running out of memory.
I didn't know either. The things we learned.
I might be right on the cusp. I'm sure that's what happened last time. I may have to do some quick deleting. Well, it says I have 22 gigs free. That can't be right, but it says it is. So yay, moving on. Hey, everybody, good. I'm Jim Kellner. I'm a speaker, author, hypnotist. I do the comedy stage stuff, and I also do hypnotherapy. And also run a couple of hypnosis conferences.
Different kinds of shows. You've got so much going on. Every time I see you, there's new and exciting stuff to look out for. So if you are in the hypnosis industry, this is a guy to keep your eyes on because he's always got something new on the go and it's always incredibly cool. And I've had the benefit of becoming a friend of yours for these past few years. And it's been a joy just to watch you go and go and go and to build. It's so cool.
Well, thank you so much. And speaking of the book, here it is right here, everybody.
Yeah, you got a hard copy. All right.
Woohoo! There it is, full of Jim's wisdom right there. Jim's wisdom. Let's call it Jimsdom. Gisdom? No, that doesn't sound right. Never mind. Never mind.
No. These are on my channels, not yours. Behave.
Tune into my OnlyFans.
Correct. Thank you. So your life sucked, and that's why you decided to write the book. What are some of the first principles you want people to understand about their lives if it's sucking at the moment and they don't want that anymore?
So 3 things come to the top of my head as you ask that. So number 1, that you are not necessarily who you think you are right now. You can change. We talked about before how I hate the term just be yourself, because what does that even mean? And the other thing is, well, I just had it. It was brilliant too, Amanda. It was, what was it? It was, well, okay, we'll skip that brilliant one. Come back to that one.
The other brilliant one. Memory, we were talking about Jim's actual memory.
Exactly. Well, and I think this was it. Is you probably suck less than you're probably not as sucky as you think you are. A lot of people have these ideas that they are, well, they're trapped where they are. They're not smart enough. They're not good enough. It's like all these things that we tell ourselves, and you're capable. Just put one foot in front of the other. And the other thing is how you talk to yourself is so incredibly important. And, so many of us are going through life treating ourselves really like an abusive spouse. Really, like we're just going around calling ourselves names and just being emotionally abusive to ourselves. And I was doing that for years. And it wasn't until I kind of a couple of years out from that, I went, whoa, I don't really do that too much anymore. And every once in a while, when I do something, that I consider stupid, I will catch myself going, nope, stop doing that. Stop beating yourself up. Move on.
Was that something you began to shift with a bit of hypnosis or NLP, or was there another way that you began to just like catch that in the moment negative thinking and kind of inner bullying that you had?
Ooh, inner bullying. I like that. That's really what
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, that's a great term for it. I think it was a combination of all of it. I've been using hypnosis for a long time. I just didn't realize that you needed to listen frequently and a lot. And some of us need to listen more than others to really get the message, because it's almost like we're kind of, you know, brainwashing ourselves in a positive way, trying to kind of push out the old messages. And so part of it was becoming aware of that language, just becoming aware, going, dude, stop. What are you doing? Why are you talking to yourself like that? And then, yeah, the positivity that was kind of being programmed in with the hypnosis helped. Affirmations helped. All those things, I think, came together to really kind of change the way I spoke to myself.
Yeah. So did you do the whole rubber band on the bracelet thing, or, where
Oh,
you have
you
to
know what?
snap every time?
I
Yeah.
forgot about that. I did do that for a
You
while.
did.
I did. Yeah. Give myself a snap every time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then immediately begin to implement new change. Awesome. We talked about so many good things, and it's hard to know what to recap because it was a whole really embodied conversation. And I'm so sorry that you guys missed it. One of my favorite parts of that conversation was you were talking about how you began to actually have to get yourself out there in the world. It was the self realization of, I'm not doing the things that I want to and need to and should be doing. And then you chose to give yourself a push. Do you want to elaborate on some of that?
Yeah. And, that's kind of sorry, I just went and deleted some stuff real quick. I just remembered my garbage bin was probably full. I remember, I saw somebody post a while back, another hypnotist post a while back about, you don't have to, about too much pressure being put on people to change or whatever. And hey, I'm not trying to change anybody that doesn't want to be changed. I'm really speaking to the person. If you're happy with what you're doing, man, just stick with it. But I'm really speaking to the folks that were like me, that really felt like they were destined for something bigger. And like I mentioned before, I don't know if that's just ego or if that really is something in there saying, no, you need to do more. Or maybe that's all humans, but some people just kind of turn that off or turn a blind eye to it. I don't really know. I just know that I felt like from a very early age that I was destined for something bigger and better, and to have an impact on the world. I just felt so bad about myself, and really I was a loser. I'm a recovering loser. It wasn't because I was working crappy jobs and everything. It was because I wasn't doing what I knew I wanted to be doing and felt called to do.
There was, I want to say, a movie that you'd referenced, and it was such a great title.
Yeah, don't watch the movie though, because it's not what you think it's going to be. Um, a life less ordinary.
Yeah.
That's really what more than anything, I just wanted a life less ordinary. And now, unfortunately, when you put that out into the universe, that's not being very specific. And so a life less ordinary can be, you know, kind of a crap storm, going. So you got to be really, really direct with the universe and tell it exactly what you want. If you're a hypnotist, you want to use Elman-esque language, not Ericksonian language. Perhaps my life will be awesome in a year from now, or perhaps 5 years from now. No, you got to be direct. My life will be awesome. It is awesome. And this is what I want. And it's kind of tough. And this is one of the things too that I kind of struggled with, because I'm a shiny object person, I mean, as you can see, as you go through my list of things that I do, which I don't recommend. If you're an entrepreneur of any kind, focus on one thing. Don't do lots. Do one, then maybe add a second or third. Don't do everything. It's challenging to juggle it all, and you'll get somewhere faster. But yeah, of course I did. Oh, shiny objects. Yeah. So I still don't know where I was. What happened? Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that, buddy. And so have you. So have you, my friend. You know, that's one of the best things about changing my life is that I get to hang out with some of the coolest people in the world. I mean, literally world famous people, you know, conference organizers, you know, incredible stage hypnotists, incredible hypnotherapists, and then other entrepreneurs that we share things in common. So yeah, I should take notes while we're doing this so I don't get off track again. Can you?
You were on a bit of a tangent about manifesting and using correct languaging
Mm,
because if you
yeah.
didn't, you weren't exactly receiving what you wanted to receive. So what I heard you say was being
Yes.
very, very clear with your wording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, one of the things that can kind of get in our way too is we go, well, because we got that shiny object thing going, you know, we're like, well, do I really want this or do I want that or do I want something else? And just pick one. That's all you got to do. Pick one. Doesn't matter. Yeah, Dan, I'm having a rutabaga moment. Um, Pick one because here's the thing, and let me give you an example of that. So for the longest time, I had convinced myself that I wanted to be a famous actor, and so I was working towards that, but I also had all these other things. And I think if I really would have thrown myself into it, I could be successful at anything if I really tried hard enough. And I don't even mean like, you know, maybe famous, but, you know, working actor definitely could have been. But at some point, as I was going through my journey, I realized, especially when I started doing speaking engagements, I realized I really like saying my own words. I didn't want to say somebody else's words. So I had picked this one thing, but the great thing is everything that was involved there, it was transferable. So in that case, it was perfect. You know, everything that I'd learned in acting helped me on all stages, and I think you're going to find that just working towards a goal, you're going to pick up skills and abilities and confidence that's going to transfer over. So even if I would have decided now I want to go into, you know, making, you know, fans and light bulbs or something, those same skills and abilities of just
Coming back to OnlyFans is what's happening.
yeah, exactly
We're
right.
circling around.
Man feet. That's what I'm like. You know, I said a joke about it, is it like manfeet.com. And I thought, oh, that's funny. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get that website. That's a funny website. Somebody already had it. In case you're interested, folks, I'm not on there yet, as far as you know.
Surprised, but not. Just is what it is. No, no shame kinking, I guess, but or no kink shaming rather. But you see, now
That's right.
I'm
If people want to
I'm
look at
lost
man
now.
feet, if people want to pay to look at man feet, they should be allowed to.
You know, and I think that's what it comes down to, isn't it? It's deciding what you want and choosing to go for it, as long as you're
Yes,
not hurting yourself or somebody else. Just go
absolutely.
all in.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you did, is you decided to go all in. So whether it was taking the acting classes or everything that followed, it was the choice, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So one of the other things I enjoyed, you were talking about a client story that had occurred. And I'm trying to, you didn't reference her name because we're super careful about those kinds of details, but she had a really cool kind of journey. I don't know if you wanted to bring that back up again.
Are we talking about the one with the really low self-esteem? Joshua,
Yeah,
hello.
so the one who didn't believe she was beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Good to see you, Josh Wagner. Yeah, you know, that's one of my favorite stories, just because it kind of helps if we look on the outside, because kind of in a nutshell, what it came down to was this client. She didn't feel beautiful, and she, you know, I mean, really, I mean, she was an attractive woman. There was nothing wrong with her, but you know, one thing I would like to say is you don't have to be beautiful. Not everybody's beautiful. Not everyone's good at math. Not everyone's a good runner. We put so much pressure on ourselves to be, you know, attractive. I get it, but there's other things too you can do to be more attractive. You can, you know, become, you know, more confident, all these things. But the real tragedy was that, and I remember I even worked with a woman one time who was literally 5 pounds overweight, and she just couldn't let that go. She couldn't let, beautiful woman, really very accomplished. She was I won't get too many details, but a highly skilled professional. Um, and made a lot of money, great family, it sounded like, but that 5 pounds just drove her nuts. And this one client that we were talking about before, when I asked her to, we worked on a couple of things and we made some progress, but she was still just hearing that voice, that, your hair's ugly, it's not, you didn't comb your hair right, your fingernails don't look right, all these things. And it was her mom's voice in her head. And that's, for a lot of us, I think we got that negative thing. It's those caretakers who probably meant well. They probably did. They're just screwed up, you know, and and I think that
Or sometimes we take it the wrong way too. I mean,
absolutely.
I can count like numerous things in childhood that I heard vastly different than I think they were meant to be
Mm,
received.
yeah,
So there's that too, and that kind of becomes that voice in the head. In hypnotherapy, we call that an introject. If we're talking PTSD, we call that an inner critic. Lots of different words, same BS.
yeah. And when I said, well, let's just get all this out. I said, why don't you make a list by our next session, a list of all the things you don't like about yourself physically. And she came back with a list of 72 things. And I as I said before, I can't even, if I went through, I couldn't even, I'd have to count like all the hairs on my face or something to come up with 72 things that I don't like about myself. Now I don't know that was always true. There was a time when I looked at, my eyes, I didn't like them, didn't like my nose, didn't like that. But if you're comfortable with yourself, you like yourself, you don't really care about all that stuff. You still might go, well, yeah, I wish my teeth were a little whiter. I wish my hair was a little thicker, that kind of stuff. But it's totally fine. It's totally fine.
It's almost so as you're talking about that, like my brain keeps coming back to like elephants. And I guess when they're training an elephant, one of the things they do when they're growing up is they chain their feet to a
Sure.
post in the ground. And when the elephant is little, that's no big deal. But if you live with it long enough, you'll have a full sized adult elephant with a tiny little stake in the ground with a string around its ankle, and it still thinks it can't go. And so, for some of those people, for most of us, it's that tiny little thing that we've had for so long, that reason why we think we can't do it. And so that's what you help people do. You help people cut that string.
Yeah, and you've just reminded me of something that I've thought of before, and I think it's related. We'll find out. um, a lot of I work with a lot of clients, and they'll say like I hate exercise. No, I hate exercise. And I mean, the thing is, you don't have to exercise to lose weight. It's not even the best way to lose weight, but it's really good for you. I mean, it helps with, damn near everything. I mean, it helps to prevent or treat or cure, uh, God, so many illnesses. I mean, everything from cancer to cardiovascular disease, all that stuff. But so many people have been convinced that they don't like exercise. And I really think a lot of this starts back when we were kids. And, it's really kind of a tragedy. And I don't know if there's a solution, but not everybody matures at the same rate. Right. And then we also have the situation where, like, if you're born in the summer, you can, like I was born in July. So I could have started, in the fall that year or waited till the next year. So I end up starting, my mom started me early. So I'm actually younger than a lot of my classmates who, literally can be nearly a year older than me. So of course I'm not going to be as good at baseball and basketball and football and jump rope and all these things as these kids that are older. But then we end up with that negative reinforcement, when you're the kid that's the last one picked on the team. Believe me, been there many times. You feel like, well, I'm just not good at sports. I'm just not good at this thing. Pretty soon I hate sports. I hate, exercise, when really it was just the timing was off for you, and what I found out later when I was older and I started playing like racquetball, did rollerblading, tennis and all this, I'm like, well, I'm pretty athletic. I'm not, maybe an Olympic champion, but maybe I would have been if I would have been encouraged more instead of, kind of being pushed down because, I sucked at the time. But I think it's really, I think that kind of ties into that. I've got that chain around me, and I think that chain is still valid, but it's not necessarily valid. And that's another reason that supports my thesis that we should not say just be yourself, because you don't know who yourself is. You don't know what you're capable of.
And in so many wonderful ways, because there are things I'm doing now this year in life that I never thought I would.
Nice.
Couldn't have even, if we'd gone back in time, there's no way I could have been like, oh, these would be cool goals for me later. No way, I've already surpassed them.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Nice.
it's amazing. But you got to be able to make the choice and to say, okay, I don't know who I am, so let me look at who I want to be and begin to step into
Ooh,
that. Yeah.
that's exactly. I don't know who I am, but who do I want to be? Can you share with one of those goals that you surpassed that you?
Oh, I never thought I'd be podcasting. I never thought
Yeah.
so many things. Even the mediumship thing. I spent the first 20 years trying to avoid it, trying to suppress it and run away from it. Now I know the ins and the outs of it because I successfully did it most of the time.
Nice.
So if people want to shut it down, I know how. Yeah. And, there are just so many things, but we have to really let ourselves kind of open up.
Yeah, and I think that, in my short cutoffs. Yeah.
Oh, good.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
I've already got a visual of the top half.
Ah!
That's an inside that we're going to keep. Thank you for that.
Ah!
This episode is going into really weird places, guys. Come on. Men feet and oh man. No, I think there is something to it though, is that how many times are people forced in to do things at a certain timeline that's maybe not for them? Or maybe, when you're talking about the different gym activities in school, something kind of clicked for me. I was a July baby too. I mean, I think I also started earlier on because convenience and growing up in poverty, you send the
Sure. I mean,
kids off
parents
so
want to
that
get you.
you don't have to
They want to,
pay.
yeah, exactly. They have to pay a babysitter and then go to work. Yeah, I get it.
And so for me, it wasn't the athletic part. That part I was mostly okay with. It was the academic part where I did things on my own pace. I was distracted because of the mediumship abilities, and I never put two and two together. But so when I went into college, I had those beliefs of, oh, I've been diagnosed with ADD. I'm never going to be able to study things. I'm not going to be able to remember things. Turns out I excel at the things I want to excel at.
Yes. Yeah.
So I had, 100% and 4.0 in psychology and sociology. And then when it came to math, not so much.
Yeah. I can relate.
But it's amazing how our beliefs can work for us or against us. What a gift to be able to change them. So what are some of the big beliefs you talk about other than not being yourself? Because you don't know who that is.
So some of the other things that, and I think, like you and I are lucky for, somehow we came across this information and took it in, that we could change, because there's so many people out there, as you know, when you work with, a lot of times people don't come to us or go to a psychologist or a coach or whatever else because they just don't think it's possible. They're just like, that's, I've tried on my own, or I've tried this and that, and it's just not possible. Or maybe they don't even realize it at all. I'm trying to think right offhand some of the other stuff, blaming others. That was a big thing for me. It's my default. I still do it. I mean, if something, I drop a glass and I'm like, my immediate response is, who can I blame? How can I blame somebody else? Because, and I think that came from a pretty solid place, because not only was that what was kind of the standard in my household, but also there were some severe repercussions for dropping a glass in my house, severe, getting spanked, or, at the very least, go to your room for, without dinner and those kind of things, which is kind of tragic. I mean, glasses get broken, but so it comes from an honest place, I think. But really, I mean, anything that happens, man, I am immediately, it's like a light switch. Boom. Okay, who's to blame for this? It's not me. And then you got to go, oh no, wait, hold on. Yep, I did it. Whatever. And then, blaming others too, this doesn't do any good. So I would just,
It's a fascinating thing to be looking at because it can go the other way too. So I'm very much the opposite of always, oh, how did I do this? What did I do now? This is somehow my fault. How do I fix this? So I think regardless of what side of that coin you end on, there still is that accountability piece. There still is the, how do I want to mend it or make it better or change it?
yeah. And here's the thing. In the grand scheme of things, I mean, As far as, so, learn from it, whatever it was. Maybe I was being careless with the glass. Maybe, I could do something differently, but maybe stuff happens, and that's really, I think, what it comes down to a lot of times is, don't blame yourself. Don't blame others. Just learn from it and move on. There doesn't have to be blame in the world. There's a
So
great
that might
story.
be,
What's
sorry,
that?
that might be 50% of our client load right there. If
Right.
something happened, they've taken blame or they're blaming someone else and now they can't
Exactly.
move out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a great story, anecdotal story, and I don't know if it's true or not, but anyway, it makes a point. I can't remember the guy's name now. He was a very famous, back in the probably 50s or 60s. He was a very famous test pilot, and he went up to do some aerial stuff, and the engine started sputtering, and he almost crashed. And it turns out they had put the wrong fuel in, and so it took, like, maybe instead of aviation fluid, this fuel, maybe this one took diesel fuel or something. I don't know what the thing was. Anyway, it came down, and people, he started walking over to the guy who's the mechanic. Everybody thought he was just going to berate him, and he said, "I want you on my team. You're the only one that's allowed to fuel my plane anymore, because I know you won't make that mistake again."
Mm.
And I just thought, wow, that's such a great way of looking at things. He could have blamed the guy and beat him up, but he said, no, you know what? Stuff happens. Stuff happens.
I don't know that I embody that yet. That is something that I
Yeah.
will
I don't know.
aspire
It'd be a
to
tough one, huh?
because I'm
It'd
not
be a
there yet.
tough one. At least internally. I might be able to fake it on the outside, but on the intern, I'm like, you son of a.
Yeah, no, I think there would be a huge period of avoidance. I don't do conflict very much.
I wonder what the second and third flight was like. Is he going, oh, God, I hope he remembered. I hope he remembered.
No, I think he knew. Yeah, I think he was right. And what an incredible way to look at it, though, and to give people that grace to rise to the challenge, because even though we're all moving towards the things we want, if we're lucky enough to have that awareness, we
Yeah.
know that others are too. And can
We
give them
all
that
screw
grace.
up. We all screw up,
I think Tony Robbins was saying at one of his events at some point, someone had misplaced a large amount of money. And instead of saying WTF, he said, well, that's fascinating. I am fascinated by how this happens. And I'm just like, oh, yeah. Shift to curiosity every time.
This something that Anthony says too. Anthony Robbins says that I love. If we're talking about blaming other people, he says if you're going to blame people for all the bad stuff in your life, you got to blame them for all the good stuff too. So you want to blame your parents for the crappy life you got? Well, any of the good stuff that's going on, you got to blame them for that too.
That's right. All of it, whether we chose it or not. So many episodes my audience have heard how, there's just so much to it. I wouldn't be who I was without the challenges that I had. So it's always the opportunity to have a catalyst, but it's very much about how we look at it. And just like Grant says, the fastest way to learn is through mistakes. Absolutely.
I mean, it really is like and in Maxwell Maltz's book, I talk about this book all the time.
Yeah.
It's somewhere around here. In Psycho-Cybernetics, he talks about that. That's how a missile works. I mean, it just keeps making corrections. It goes off track all the time. When you take a flight, it's spending most of the time off the path. It keeps going off, and it gets corrected back onto the correct path, and that's how we are. I mean, it sucks. It does. Like I just taught a street hypnosis workshop yesterday, and the thing that I just try to remind everybody is, look, I don't want to send you a negative signal, but you're gonna suck at first. You're gonna be scared, and that's okay, because if we had this idea, I think, especially like if you're pushing your kid on their bike and they fall over, are you gonna go, well, I guess you're just not a good bicycle rider, No, of course not. You'd be a terrible parent. You do. How many times would you keep pushing them? 10 times, 100 times? But we fall over and we're like, oh, well, I guess I'm just not good at whatever. And I think actually probably happens a little early, probably like in elementary school. I mean, for ourselves,
I think you nailed it with the bike thing. I think that's when that starts.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, even think about a toddler. We don't condemn them when they stumble or when they wobble. No, we cheer wildly.
Yeah.
But no, it is, I think the first one is the bicycle thing. That is the first, test of, come on, I showed you this.
Exactly.
You can do it. Get it.
Yeah. So if you, and this is what I always tell, I always tell my students too, if I'm better at something like street hypnosis, it's only because I failed more times than you. That's all. That's the only way I got better, is I just had to go out there and fail. And when I talk about failure, I mean, we think of failure as a negative, but and it really does it is kind of a negative, but I try. It's hard not to use that word, but it's more like I like to think of it as, and you can kind of think about life as this way. And I came up with this term for street hypnosis. Just think of it as you're doing research, you know. So there's no pressure. You're doing research to find out which techniques are going to work the best, with what person. And really, that's kind of like how life is. You're going to research, what job is best for you, what partner is best for you. Yeah, you're going to have some. You're going to have some quote failures. But Edison failed, like, what was it, 10,000 times or something, before he invented the light bulb. I mean, what if he'd have gave up on number 8,999?
That's not even talking about all the other inventions he had in the process that didn't really get much of the light of day, but it had not been for riffing around and trying some things, he never would have found it. We did talk about failure pretty extensively in the episode that didn't quite make it.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. And I wanted to highlight again, the way we define failure is so important. And so I was telling you last time that the thing about failure is it's not really a failure if you're still doing, if you're still moving, if you're still going. It's only a failure if you've stopped, if you've given up.
So true. Here's a thing too. And I remember meeting up with a friend who had gone to learn stage hypnosis. He was a hypnotherapist, went down and learned stage hypnosis from one of the headliners down there back before COVID. And we went and we met up for lunch. And I said, "Oh, dude, how's the stage hypnosis going?" He goes, "I did one show and it was terrible. I'm not like you guys. I'm not doing any more." I'm like, "What? Look, what do you mean you're not like me?" "Well, I'm not. I don't feel comfortable up on stage." "What? Do you know how many times I had to go on stage before I felt comfortable? Do you know how many times I've failed? I've died on stage. I mean, I just had to keep going, and this is how it's that bike, if you give up too quick, then you'll think, yeah, I'm a terrible bicyclist. But if you keep going, maybe you become a good bicyclist. And I say, like, you got to try something. I mean, at the minimum, I got to think 10 times, right? At the minimum, try it 10 times, probably 100 times. And if you think, and this is that idea, I'm not like you. I can look at Tony Robbins and go, I'm not like him. I just haven't done what he's done. I haven't, it's people have this idea that because you're doing something that they're not doing, that somehow you're special. Guys, I'm not special. I'm really not. I'm not special. I just keep slogging away at it. I keep failing and failing and winning and failing and failing and then winning. There was a great quote, and I just shared it the other day. It was from the Hermosi. What's her name? Layla, I think it is. Where was it at? Hold on. 1 second. Oh, there it is. Yeah, from Layla Hormozi. And it says it's a Twitter thing, and it says, first you'll suck, then you'll suck less, then you're okay, then you're good, then you're great. Next thing you know, they're all asking you how you got so lucky. But you can't skip the middle. You can't skip the middle. And this is something that Grant Saunders and I have started saying is the shortcut is doing the work. Because people want to skip that part. They want to, how can I just learn more, do more, whatever? No, you've got to go through that part. It's just do the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you never know what you're going to discover on the way. It's wild, isn't it? So you've had quite a fascinating just journey of it all, though. Last time I'd learned about different jobs you'd had, I never would have imagined for you. You heard about one of mine that I'm not going to repeat. That part, go figure, made it into last episode. And it's like, hot damn. If anything was going to be cut out, why wasn't it that? But yeah, that's true. We get better and better because forged in fire, you keep doing the thing.
Well, that life less ordinary. I've done a lot of less ordinary things.
Getting better at defining what that means now.
Yes.
So that it's not all of the random chaos the universe wants to deliver.
JimFeet.com. Go check it out, everybody. JimFeet.com.
You're killing me.
I got to check if
Oh,
that domain's
goodness.
available. Hold on.
So your book is available. It's September 1st, going to be starting to ship out. Is that right?
Yeah, so the Kindle version is available. You can pre-order it right now. It'll be downloaded to your device on 9/1. The Amazon does not do. They don't allow pre-orders of paperbacks and physical products. So I'm working with another company. I hope to have the pre-order set up for that in the next couple of days, where you can pre-order the hard copies, and those would go out. I guess it doesn't matter. They still go out on 9/1. Yeah.
You've got that hypnotist voice. I am a huge fan of Audible. Will there be an audio recorded version of your book?
Well, yes, thank you. I'm planning to do an audio book for it, and because that's how I consume most books. I don't really sit down and read too much anymore. So I get it. If you want to wait for the audiobook, everybody, I understand. Although I will tell you, this book is a very easy read. It's like having a conversation with Jim. It's the words are.
Minus the feet.
Look at that. That's my favorite picture in the book, right there.
Breaking out the inner hero.
That's right. The inner hero, indeed.
So if someone's wanting to step into that inner hero, do you have a first step for them? Immediately
First
after
step.
buy the book.
Second step, yes. First step, buy the book. I mean, a lot of it's going to depend on where they're at in life. You know, everybody's got their own deal going on, but I think it's I would say the confidence part, and I mean that's multi-layered, and there's multiple ways of helping to work on that. As you know, hypnosis, NLP, affirmations, all of that, and the reason being is that it's if I look at a mountain and I think, oh, there's no way I can climb that mountain, I mean, the chances of me being able to climb that mountain are pretty slim, right? But if I go, yeah, I can do it, I still may not make it, but, I still can't. It's like when we're working with a smoker, and they'll say, when you go, are you ready to be smoke free? And they'll go, I'll try. Nope. Are you ready to be smoke free? I'll try. Nope. I need to hear yes. It's okay to fail, but you gotta be 100% committed. And it's pretty tough to do that if you don't have the confidence. And so I think that I have a course called I can't remember the name of it now, but it's very clever. Damn it. It's the self-esteem, the master key to success, I think is the name, because I really do think that your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and they're different, but we oftentimes use them interchangeably. But the great thing about confidence is that confidence, when you develop confidence, like if I develop confidence in rollerblading, then when I go do something else, I may not have as much confidence, but I still have a higher level of confidence overall. So whatever you can gain confidence in is going to spill over into other areas, because it's really kind of an internal thing. And I would say one of my favorite ways that I used to become confident, I mean, well, there's two ones. I started using affirmations, damn, I'm pretty. That made me start to feel better about myself. And the other one was act as if. I freaking love that. That is my absolute favorite. It's my absolute favorite technique for anything. It's it's a go-to for me when I'm working with a client who has self-esteem problems. It's all about just start acting like you are. And this is different than fake it till you make it, because fake it till you make it is more like you're just going to go ahead and fake it. But act as if is you're going to fake it, but you're also going to do all the things that you would do if you were confident. And so that means you're going to stand up straight. You're going to, if like act as if I'm an Olympic athlete. Well, what does an Olympic athlete do? They get up at 5, they get up at 5 a.m. They eat their whatever they eat, and they all these things. And so if you just do that, you can do damn near anything. If you act good. Now this is best for soft skills. Okay. I mean, you can't necessarily act as if you're an airline pilot and take off on the plane. However, couldn't you though? if you
Unless you're
acted as if enough, right? Because if you were good enough at it, if you were good enough at acting as if you were the airline pilot, you would do the things that an airline pilot would do. I don't recommend that, though. Start with the soft skills.
I was going to make an incredibly inappropriate joke about being a diversity hire. I'll save you guys from that, but you can guess where that's going. Yeah, no, it's true. And you're going to start building the neurology that needs to happen to back it all up. So absolutely, we got to start taking the steps and wobbling a little bit before it comes out to be a walk. So where is the best ideal place for people to find you if they know that they want their life to stop sucking, they want more than the book, they want to dive in and begin to make changes? Where do you recommend them to?
JimKellnerHypnotist.com. There's a booking link on there. You can also find resources to podcasts, free hypnosis, courses, workshops, all the good stuff.
You've got some trainings coming up, I believe, as well. Anything
Yes,
you want to
Hypnosis
highlight?
101 coming up. It's actually coming up a little sooner than I thought. I've got to start promoting that. It's coming up in just over a month.
And of course, there's the Michigan Hypnosis Conference. I know that you're going to be there. Remind me again, what are you touching on? What is your topic that time?
Mine is one that I've taught before at different places. It's called Launch Now, and it's and the reason this came about was because I remember going to HypnoThoughts for the first time and meeting all of these people that knew. Let's be honest, they knew way more about hypnosis than I do, way more, and yet I'm the one that's doing it. And I remember, and they weren't doing it. They weren't doing hypnosis. They had all of these reasons why they weren't doing it. And there's fine, if it's just your hobby, that's one thing. But if you really want to be working with clients or getting up on stage and you're not doing it, just do it. And that's really what it's launch now. This is the time. And so what I did was I said, and I got to tell you, it's a pretty challenging group of people to work with, the people that haven't launched, because I hate to say this, but it's because of who they are, who they are right now. It makes it more challenging for them to do it, and you try to push them, you try to nudge them, and some of them, it just doesn't happen. And, and I think that my personal opinion is they're not utilizing enough of the tools, because I will tell them, these are the steps you need to take. So like step 1, mindset, right? Of course. Step 2, get your damn website, step 3, set up and so if they can't even follow through with those things, it makes it really tough to jump out there. And there's always all these excuses. And we talked about one where, well, I don't want to get my website up because I'll get too busy. Is that a problem for you, Amanda? I know when I put my website up, I just overwhelmed every day. I'm just like, oh my God, people leave me alone.
Yeah.
So, but what I do is what I want to do is I want to at least give them the knowledge, because I know part of it, being an entrepreneur, is tough, because you went to hypnosis school. You didn't go to business school, probably, right? You didn't go to marketing school. And so I at least want to help them with that. And I also start them off with my hypnotic confidence recording, hypnosis session, and a kind of a class too. And so in that class, I take them through just kind of the basics, and I also like to start off with, hey, where are you at right now? What's your problem is? And we can kind of pinpoint some stuff. And then of course, if they want to really dive in and actually make the change, then they can sign up for my Launch Now workshop, which is 8 or 10 weeks long. And that's where we really spend the time. Every week we're meeting, and we're, how do you develop, how do you get your offer? How do you set up a landing page? And these are all things that you just, you don't even think about. How do you get a Google Voice number if you want one? People, the things that you would not even think that you would need to know, you go, oh, wow, there's so many more things to it. Setting up a Google business account so you can get the Google My Business, which is so helpful. If you don't have that set up, go set that up, people. Really, go set it up. There's all these, oh my goodness. Here's it, and I know I'm going on too long. Just give me 1 second, and I'll wrap this part up. But
I'm fine for time. You're the one with the appointments.
The crazy thing is, people. I just had an example of this. So I was talking to somebody, and they were like, oh yeah, I wanted to, I was thinking about taking your street hypnosis workshop, but then so and so said they heard it was illegal to go and do, to do busking or something. And I'm like, so you heard somebody else say they heard. Why don't you just come to the source? I went out yesterday. I did not get arrested, you know, and so we make these decisions based on fallacies. Like my wife, she's from Vietnam. She had heard you couldn't get a driver's license in the United States unless you had um, unless you're a citizen. And in some states, you do have to have a social security number. In this state, Washington, you don't need it. So you live your life instead of actually going out and investigating for yourself, you're relying on information from other people. And so people will hear things about, well, I heard I have to get an LLC before I can start. No, you don't. You start making money, sure, you probably want to get an LLC, but you don't need it. Oh, I heard I have to get a business license. Well, I mean, technically, yeah. But could you fly under the radar at first? Probably. There's all these little things that people let get in their way. And I just want to push them and go, damn it, get out there. The world needs what you do.
It's not just for hypnotists. That sounds like that's for anybody who's coming into the entrepreneurship realm, who's ready to get out there and make a bigger change, not just your own life, but for others.
Action trumps everything. Action trumps everything. That is my new slogan that I started saying, is because people, they want to spend, like when I got to do street hypnosis, and street hypnosis is a great metaphor for life because it's scary. And people just want to watch, and they'll say, oh, I just want to watch today. And then they come out the next time, oh, I just want to watch today. You can't watch your way to success. So yes, do some research, take a class, take a workshop, read a book, a couple of books, and then just start doing it. Because you know what? I have learned, I jump. That's my friend Sean says that's my superpower, is that I just jump into things. If I would have sat down and thought, ooh, how can I make a hypnosis conference and done a bunch of research, never would have happened. I said, Grant, let's do a hypnosis conference. And we both just dived in and we just said, yeah, let's do it. Anthony, when we did ours, we just jumped in. We talked to some people. Dan was really helpful. Dan Goyette was really helpful. But, we could have researched stuff for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And actually, there was a great John Maxwell quote that said, the longer you wait to basically pull the trigger, the harder it is. And that's so true. This is my big please, just go do something. Take that client, take that show, just do it.
You have to give a refund. You have to give a refund.
Absolutely. And that's a fun, thank you for making that point. Thank you for making that point, because that is one of the big things. Well, what if I do the session and they don't quit smoking? Well, offer them another one. But my instructor said it only takes one session. Well, clearly it didn't take one session this time. So let's offer them another one and another one. How many sessions is it going to take? I know I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Don't blame the client. Don't blame yourself. There's
right.
Obviously just something that was missing.
Personally, and this gets me in trouble with trainers and stuff. I bet there are some trainers in the world that are so awesome they can make anybody quit smoking in one time. I don't think it's possible. I think that there's a myriad of reasons why people smoke, and there's all kinds of different things going on, and it's ridiculous to think that and I think it make hypnosis seem fake too, because, well, how can you fix everybody? All these people that'll talk about these different, I can help people, lose weight in just one session, or get to their ideal weight, or I just think it just sets us up to look ridiculous.
Some it can. My spouse was definitely one. He was a 20-year tobacco chewer, and it was a one and done.
You're absolutely right.
Surprised. But I agree. It does set a precedent that's then possibly going to trigger shame or fear or guilt in your client, and that could be a whole other whale to chip away at.
Yeah. Excellent point. Thank you for making that. People can go to a psychologist one time and they're basically over whatever they went for. There's all kinds of things but to say that everybody is going to be cured in one session or two sessions or 3 sessions I find it ridiculous. I don't think that's possible. But I mean, I'm not saying that not anybody, but I get messages from people that have done these kinds of courses where, we fix anything in one session, and they're going, I must be doing something wrong. Maybe, but maybe just do another one. And finally, yeah, like you said, at a certain point, if it's not successful, go, hey, I'm just going to give you your money back. Maybe you need to go to somebody else. Maybe we're just not a good fit.
That's right. And there's no harm in it. And maybe, there are other things they need to work out. I've had clients that I've worked with and they didn't get the result immediately. It took her a couple of months. And then she came back 2 months later. You know what? There was another piece of the puzzle that you couldn't have helped me with that I organically found. And the minute I put that into place, everything was fine. I quit immediately. Those happen too.
Yeah.
There are those things
Absolutely.
that are out of both our hands sometimes. And it's okay. It's okay that it takes you however long it takes you, but you're going to find it as long as you keep trying. But if you would like your life to stop sucking, Jim Kellner is your guy.
That's right. Recovering loser right here. And also, and this is one of the things too, I had so many people, I remember when I was working with somebody on my first book. We co-authored it, and I was really far behind. He ended up writing another book before we even got our second book, before we got that book that we were co-writing together. And I was like, holy crap, how do you have the time for that? He goes, I made the time. And I was like, good point. And this is what people keep telling me, like, oh man, I wish I had the time to write a book. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I wish I had the time to, do a workshop, to go on a podcast. I wish I had the time to do this. You have the time. It's priorities. You got to make the time. If that's what you want to do. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
First comes first. Make the choice that you want more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but that's how I left my first marriage. I was like, oh, it's been 7 years. Do I want this for the rest of my life? Can I do this? No.
Right.
No, I cannot.
Exactly. Dan
really
made a great point.
Yeah.
Fail, get up, fail better. Yes.
That was Dan.
Oh,
yeah.
Isn't that the truth? Grant Saunders made a great point. It only takes one idea to work to change your life forever. And you're not going to get that. And here's the thing, we all have these great ideas. We do. Everybody has great ideas, but ideas are like buttholes. Everybody has them.
This episode's going nowhere. I'm going to get shadow banned.
Okay. They're like noses. Everybody has one. Ideas are worthless unless you implement them, but you're not going to get that. You may not get that. You think you have a brilliant idea right now, but it's when you keep having ideas, when you keep doing things, if we hadn't have tried, I'll give you an example since Grant's watching. If we hadn't have tried all these other things, if we hadn't done all these other things, it may have never occurred to us to have the Performing Hypnosis Summit. So we had to go do all these other things. So, you have to be working, you have to be doing things, taking action. And then you hit that one thing and you go, holy crap. That's the thing.
He's full of them today. Goodness. Yeah, that's right.
You got to get Grant on. I want to see Grant on here.
Yeah. We'll do that Grant guy. We'll see about that. It's been so nice having you. I know you've got other stuff to move on to, and I don't want to hold you up from your day because it's almost 3 p.m. here, Eastern Standard Time. Any final thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, just remember this. Action trumps everything. Action trumps everything. You can't fail. You can't watch your way to success. Get out there, start doing something, whatever it is. Other things will come to you. They really will. Trust me. Believe me.
You've got a book launch party, a book launch event that you've got going, and let's share the link on the stream so that if people want to find it and hear more about the book, hear more about working with you, they know exactly where to go. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day. And for you, my dear, sweet, soulful seekers who are listening, the next episode coming up is Q&A. Anything you want to ask about mediumship, submit your questions because it's going to be recording in the next couple of days. Don't miss out. This is your chance to get your questions answered. In any case, stay peaceful, stay happy, but most of all, stay inspired. Bright blessings. Bye for now.
Be awesome. JimFeet.com.